This is the evening news for Thursday, October 10, 2013. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, the GPHC capacity to be boosted to respond to rising demand for services. Vehicle turns turtle with Junior Finance Minister at Kwakwani. 5 arrested after 16 pounds of ganja found at La Familia Hotel. Police say 5% hike recorded in serious crimes and school protesters could be prosecuted and jailed. This is the evening news. Now for the news in detail. The capacity of the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation will soon be boosted with the services of trained doctors and new equipment, which would see persons benefiting from services never offered before at a public facility. Details in this report.
Even as other private hospitals continue to improve their capacities as a means of attracting more income, the Georgetown Public Hospital is also receiving a boost to cater for the less fortunate public. This was disclosed by Chief Executive Officer of the GPHC, Michael Khan. He said while the medical facility depends solely on the Government of Ghana for funds, it will be getting its enhancement through the charitable services of foreign experts.
Only a week or two ago, I think your newspaper did carry an excellent article of a team coming out of Memphis, Tennessee from a charity who is looking at the children here to take them abroad and eventually come here to do cardiac surgery sometime next year. And that was a very successful visit.
He explained that the hospital will not have to pay any monies to bring the medical team here. Additionally, another team would be coming out of Calgary, Canada to offer similar services.
They'll come and do surgery. And the beauty about this team from Memphis, Tennessee, they will not leave the country until the last patient that they operate on is discharged and is on the way to recovery.
The overseas teams are expected to provide training to doctors here free of cost to carry out surgeries after they would have served their time here. They have also made an assessment to identify the hospital's weaknesses and will be providing equipment in this regard to boost competencies. For the evening news, Leanna Bradshaw.
Meanwhile, Health Minister Dr. Barry Ramsaran on Tuesday announced that Nirmal Rekha has been appointed the new chairman of the Georgetown Public Hospital Board of Directors following the resignation of Colonel Mark Phillips on September 26. Rekha was appointed a member of the new board in July, along with Dr. Mahendra Karpin, Dr. Dalje Joseph, Bibi Zadika Haq, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Shamdio Pasod, Renato Chokasang, Norma Simple and Kempton Alexander, as well as Dr. Sheikh Amir. Minister Ramsaran, who was at the time speaking at a press conference at his Brickdam office, expressed appreciation to Phillips for his stewardship of the board over the past year and congratulated him on his new appointment as Chief of Staff of the Ghana Defence Force. Junior Finance Minister Bishop Wan Ejel was this morning air-dashed to the Ogle International Airport after being involved in an accident in Kwakwani. This newscast understands that the minister was accompanying regional officials to conduct an outreach in several communities on the Demerara River when the vehicle he was traveling in turned turtle. He did not receive any major injuries, but is reportedly complaining about experiencing pains about his body. A government information officer and a cameraman attached to the National Communication Network were also involved in the accident. No one else sustained serious injuries. The Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, CANU, is preparing to lay charges against several persons who were arrested after lawmen unearthed more than 16 pounds of cocaine on the premises of La Familia Hotel in South Rambald. CANU head James Singh, speaking with this newscast, said that 5 persons are in custody, including the owner of the hotel. He added that the marijuana was found stashed in one of the vehicles which was parked on the premises. Singh confirmed that CANU conducted a raid on the hotel at around 2300 hours, which lasted for several hours. He noted that they have been under surveillance for some time now. CANU agents also seized 3 vehicles during the raid. Meanwhile, the Ghana Police Force is reporting that there has been a 5% increase in serious crimes, with 98 murders being recorded at the end of September. Whitney Pasod reports.
The total number of reports of serious crimes made between January 01 and September 31st was 2,927, compared to 2,832 for the same period in 2012. A total of 98 murders were recorded at the end of September 2013. This figure matches the record number of murders for the same period in 2012. According to the police statistics, of the 98 murders this year, 41 were of disorderly type, 19 were committed during armed robberies, 2 execution type and 13 were domestic related, while the other 23 are so far underdetermined. At the end of September 2013, robbery under arms showed an increase of 6%, 798 reports compared to 751 for 2012 during the same period. The statistics indicates an increase of 12% in the number of armed robberies where instruments other than firearms were used by the perpetrators. The recorded statistics said that in relation to traffic, there has been a decrease of 7 road fatalities at the end of September this year in comparison to the same period last year. Of this, there were 75 fatalities from 72 accidents compared to 82 fatalities from 71 accidents during 2012. Speeding continues to be a major contributing factor to fatal accidents and was the cause of 52 of the 72 fatal accidents recorded at the end of September this year. Traffic enforcement by the police during the period January to September 2013 resulted in a total of 65,527 cases being made against errant motorists. Of this total, 16,586 cases were for speeding. For the evening news, Whitney Prasad.
22-year-old Deandra Grenville yesterday received bail in the sum of $175,000 when she appeared at the Sparendam Magistrates Court. Grenville is a woman who was hired to kill Linda Phillips, but ended up allegedly stabbing her to the chest at around 10 hours 45 on Thursday, October 3. She was later caught in a clump of bushes by residents after an alarm was raised. She allegedly confessed later that she was paid $130,000 to kill Phillips, who resided at 45 Crongdam Industry, East Coast, Demerara. Grenville was charged with the indictable offence of attempted murder along with her accomplice, 35-year-old Grave Ramraka, who secured bail in the same amount. She was represented by attorney at law James Bond and is scheduled to make a reappearance in court on November 15. Chairman of Governance and Security within the Private Sector Commission, Gerald Govaya, has reiterated a call for the passage of the Firearm Amendment Bill as one of the many efforts needed to curb the recent crime upsurge. Details in this report.
Speaking with this newscast during an interview, Chairman of Governance and Security within the Private Sector Commission, PSC, Gerald Govaya, acknowledged that there have been a number of gun-related crimes recorded, which he believes stem from the lack of adequate policies in place to prevent such.
That is vitally important because you could have people importing guns into Guyana in pieces and nobody could do them anything, but then they get into Guyana, they put the pieces together. We need the laws, we need that money data, we need the new firearm bill to be passed in Parliament.
The Firearm Amendment Bill, which was taken to the House by government, would have seen tougher penalties for gun runners. Meanwhile, he also highlighted the need for the Guyana Police Force, GPF, to be equipped with the requisite tools to investigate and solve crimes. This, he said, was discussed during a recent meeting the PSC had with Minister Rohi, the newly appointed Commissioner of Police, and other members of the GPF.
In the private sector, we don't reward you for effort, we reward you for results. And we want to see the police harness and control this surge that seems to be happening.
He added too that the police must also have the legal parameters to do the kind of information gathering they want, whether it is through wiretapping or through using information from public sources. In light of this, Govaya urged the general public to support the work of the police by providing information when available, since this is usually a challenge for ranks.
We have to help the police, every one of us, every organization, every individual person. The fight of crime, while the police is on the forefront of it, the police need the help of citizens.
For the evening news, Leanna Bradshaw.
Persons who are involved in school protests are likely to be prosecuted based on a decision made at the level of cabinet. More from Samuel Supnandan.
The government has taken a stern position on how to deal with persons involved in school protests in the future. Cabinet Secretary Dr. Roger Luncheon told media operatives today that Cabinet deemed such actions as unbecoming. Dr. Luncheon said the main concern is the disruption that has been taking place at schools during these unnecessary exercises, which is a clear violation of policy.
Cabinet's decision would see those protesters engaging in those forms of violation of the existing policies. They are being charged and they are being prosecuted. Cabinet also was supportive of the Ministry of Education efforts that would seek to discourage students from protesting and protest activities during the school hours.
He said while there are concerns that some of the issues which have prompted these protests are legitimate, it is believed that there are other ways of dealing with them.
This spectacle that because we don't have enough chairs and tables or the ablution facilities are not up to scratch, it justifies me or my political associates, members of the community, members of the school, children attending the school, to descend into this level of lawlessness. I think we have to take a position, and Cabinet has indeed made its decision.
Government has strongly criticized the move and has sought to link the protests with the opposition. The Education Ministry has also strongly denounced the recent actions, specifically to disrupt the functioning of schools by illegally protesting and behaving in other unhealthy and unwholesome ways. The ministry had said that the locking of school gates and compounds as a form of protest and the usage of children during school hours as protesters is totally unacceptable. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
Stay tuned, more news still ahead. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The Mexican Embassy is currently offering scholarship opportunities to Guyanese in the health field to study in Mexico. Sabatini Daniel spoke to the ambassador, Francisco Olguin, and filed this report.
Mexico's ambassador to Guyana, Francisco Olguin, is calling on interested candidates in the health sciences field to apply for the scholarships via the embassy's website, Embamex Guyana. He said the relevant information and requirements are all found on the website. The ambassador disclosed that persons should be fluent in Spanish since classes will be taught in this language, but told eligible applicants that this should not deter them. Hence, he encouraged persons to still apply. After the persons given the scholarships complete their studies abroad, he said they will have to come back and serve their country.
Work at their own country for as long as they studied in Mexico. So if they did a 2-year master degree, they will have to go back to, or let's say in the case of Guyana, come back to Guyana and work in Guyana for 2 years. If they do a PhD, which is a 3-year program, they will have to come back and work 3 years in Guyana.
The deadline for applications is October 31. Persons will be notified if they have been awarded the scholarships on November 15. Sabatini Daniels reporting for the Evening News.
The Organization of American States, the OAS high-profile meeting in Guyana concluded today on a high note following a series of presentations which will determine whether Guyana is implementing the Inter-American Convention Against Corruption. Details from Svetlana Marshall.
The consultations with the Commission from the OAS mechanism for follow-up on the implementation of the Inter-American Convention Against Corruption, MES-ICIC, and civil society concluded today after commencing on Monday at Cara Lodge. Presidential Advisor on Governance, Gail Teixeira, declined to disclose details of the 4-day meeting, explaining that it was a closed-door event. As a result, the government of Guyana will not pronounce on the meeting until OAS completes its assessment in 2014. However, Teixeira assured the press that OAS will be issuing a press statement on its visit to Guyana shortly. Participating agencies such as the Georgetown Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Federation of Independent Trade Unions of Guyana, the Guyana Association of Women Lawyers, the Guyana Bar Association, the Consultative Association of Guyana Industry, and Transparency Institute Guyana, Inc. were all asked to keep their presentations confidential. However, Teixeira expressed disappointment that TIGI would have leaked its presentation to sections of the press. Meanwhile, the Federation of Independent Trade Unions of Guyana said it was more than happy to be a part of the process and would have made contributions in keeping with the reality. The commission that facilitated the process in Guyana was made up of representatives from Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago, as well as from the Department of Legal Cooperation of the Secretariat for Legal Affairs of the OAS. The information garner will aid in completing information for consideration of its national report, which will be adopted by the Committee of Experts of the MES-ICIC in March 2014. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Svetlana Marshall.
Government is considering providing 24 hours dredging services for Port Georgetown in an effort to improve the transportation for fishing and other vessels. Here is Samuel Suknanan with the details.
Head of the Presidential Secretariat, Dr. Roger Luncheon, says government is seriously considering providing this service with the help of the private sector. Dr. Luncheon noted that there has been much concern about the siltation of the Demerara River, and this has to some extent been affecting free flow and shipment of goods and services for years. He admitted that the current system being used is insufficient, and as such new measures must be taken to correct the issue. However, sharp focus must be placed on the financial cost that is attached to it.
Cabinet recognized 24 hours a day dredging. Another way of speaking of capital dredging, the issue of costs had to be addressed, and the efforts that are ongoing so far, they have seen initiatives at the level of central government, at the level of private investors, and currently the successes in the public-private partnership, that those successes have certainly allowed a consideration of public-private participation in capital dredging.
According to him, the private sector has taken steps to partner with government, but the next move would be to collaborate on providing this service on a 24-hour basis. The Shipping Association of Ghana has been calling for the dredging of the Demerara River to be improved and said it would enhance the viability of the industry. An estimated $600 million is spent annually to dredge the Berbice, Demerara and Essequibo rivers. The average monthly figures for such an activity are $40 million to $50 million per month, which when evaluated on a yearly basis adds up to some $480 million to $600 million each year. Reporting for the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
8 Guyanese women were honored last evening for their outstanding performances and bravery in the aviation industry, paving the way for more opportunities for a younger generation of women. Here's Whitney Passot with the details.
Beverly Drake and Cheryl Moore were honored last evening for their historic contributions and bravery that broke barriers and professionalized aviation here in the 1960s. The faces of these women are now featured on the $20 and $80 postal stamps, which were revealed during the honoring ceremony. The other 6 women, Pharrell Ali, Barbara Adams, Willette Gardner, and Sandra Persaud, will be added to the collection as time goes by. Prime Minister Samuel Hines, addressing the gathering at the Guyana Defense Force Officers Mess in Ghana, said that the historic event falls properly within the year's celebration to mark a centenary of aviation in Guyana. Hines reiterated that the 21st century belongs to women, while adding that in the earlier years pilots were known to be just men.
There's an extremely small area for, if any at all, for error in the aviation industry. Safety is most important, and the aviation industry has gone to great lengths to ensure there is safety with all its rules and its regulations.
The Prime Minister said previously there were ideas of what was a woman and man's work, but now both genders hold the sky in different parts, and because of this the division is disappearing.
We men shouldn't feel threatened. We men shouldn't feel threatened, but we should welcome women into the field, in all the fields where they have entered or are still entering.
Hines recalled that during his years in the bauxite industry, these situations also arose and there were issues with women working in mining and planting operations. He said that aviation is not an activity that has been around for centuries, but just for 110 years here, and it has certainly developed at a rapid pace within the last century. For the Evening News, Whitney Prasad.
President Donald Ramotar says that agriculture is finally getting the recognition it deserves in the Caribbean, while shedding some light on the need to reduce the high food importation bill of the region. Samuel Suknandan has the details.
The Guyanese head of state said there are many challenges that confront the Caribbean and the world at large, but one of the most important challenges is the quest for food and the need to alleviate hunger. The president made this remark while addressing the official opening of the 12th Caribbean Week of Agriculture, being hosted here after 10 years. Ramotar told the international guests and delegates gathered here for the week of activities that the quest for food could only be solved if governments start investing heavily in the agriculture sector.
Our food import bill is extremely high, and I'm happy that that is being seen and the need for us to cut back on it, because we in the region, we have so much of problems that we can put other resources in other areas as well.
He highlighted that indeed there is high demand for land and great competition as this becomes limited within the region, especially for agriculture and energy purposes. This situation is likely to persist, especially with the high cost that is attached to oil and gas. He advised that regional governments start thinking ahead and work towards developing strategies that will help them to feed their people.
The direction I think that we're going is important, because the agriculturalists of today and of tomorrow will have to be much more educated. And this stigma that has affected agriculture for a long time as being barefooted and in the field and so forth, we know now that a lot more science, a lot more education is needed to be a successful farmer and a successful producer of food.
Ramotar said he is also pleased that the region was now taking the JACDU initiative more seriously and was moving swiftly to implement the strategy set out in the initiative. He said this was key to moving forward towards a path of sustained development and growth. The CWA began on October 2 with 43 workshops planned for the week, much of them science and research related. The aims of the workshops are to improve the agriculture industry and trade in the region. The event is being observed under the theme Linking the Caribbean for regional food and nutrition security and rural development. For the Evening News, I'm Samuel Suknandan.
The Ghana Water Incorporated GWI has signed on to the Ghana Telephone and Telegraph Company GT&T's mobile money service, paving the way for consumers to pay their water bills using their cellular phones. GT&T welcomes GWI and is pleased to offer this easy payment alternative, the telephone company said in a statement. Mobile money consumers can now pay their GWI accounts using this very convenient and affordable bill payment method for only $40 Ghana. Customers should have their GWI account number available when making payments using mobile money. More news still ahead. Stay tuned. You're watching the Evening News. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The Culture, Youth and Sport Ministry and Digicel Guyana signed a memorandum of understanding signaling the strengthening of the relationship between the two agencies ahead of the National Drama Festival. Here's Sabatini Daniels with the details.
Speaking at the signing of the MOU, Culture, Youth and Sport Minister Dr. Frank Anthony recognized Digicel's commitment to the Drama Festival since its first staging 3 years ago. He disclosed that every year there has been improvement with the amount of plays that are entering into the competition, while explaining that this year 45 plays will be participating in the competition.
It shows already that the festival is making a great impact. In addition to that, we are very pleased that there are a number of writers that are now writing plays specially for the festival. And I think without the festival, we would not have seen these new plays emerging, because there wouldn't have been any incentive for people to write these plays.
Digicel Head of Marketing Jacqueline James said the company would like to ensure it gives the ministry the full support needed for the festival, highlighting that it is all about youth development, culture and showcasing talent.
The signing of this MOU signifies our strength and our commitment, our continued commitment to development of youths in this country, and we just want to ensure that as we move on year to year that we continue to grow this relationship.
National Drama Festival Chief Coordinator Godfrey Norton said this year the plays will be of higher quality and more professional. The preliminary rounds for the festival will start next Monday, while the finals are slated for November 11 to 19. Two of the major sponsors for the festival are Digicel and Guyana Times. Sabatini Daniels reporting for the Evening News.
And two men appeared in the Georgetown Magistrates Court today after they were jointly charged for the offences of possession of ammunition and possession of narcotics. Here's Anara Khan with the details.
40-year-old Sinarain Singh, also known as Paul Singh, of Lot 20 New Road, Vreeden Hoop, West Coast, Demerara, and John Ned, 59, of Lot 164 Waterloo Street, North Cummingsburg, made their first court appearance today at the Georgetown Magistrates Court to answer to the charges. It was alleged on February 8, 2013 at Ogle, East Coast, Demerara, the duo had in their possession 18 rounds of .223 and 19 rounds of .9 mm ammunition. They were not required to plead to this charge since it was made indictable, but pleaded not guilty to the other charge, which stated that between April 1, 2012 and February 8, 2013, they had in their possession 36.334 kilograms of cocaine. According to the facts, Singh is the power of attorney of the premises located at Lot 20, Area H, Ogle, which belongs to his sister, and Ned is a realtor who rents the property to other persons. On the day in question, ranks from the Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit, CANU, went to the premises where a search was conducted around the building, where they observed through a window some suspicious articles in the house. The ranks gained access to the house through the lower flat, and a further search was conducted, which resulted in the discovery of the ammunition and narcotics. At the time of the visit, the only persons who had control over the building were the defendants, and based on legal advice from the Director of Public Prosecution, they were subsequently charged. In an application for bail for his client Singh, attorney Hemant Ramdani said that no fingerprints or documents belonging to his client will be found at the house. Attorney Clarissa Reed, who represented Ned, also made an application for reasonable bail. Bail was objected to based on the grounds that there were no special reasons put forward by the defense for it to be granted, and the duo was remanded to prison. The matter was transferred to Court 1 for October 14th.
In case you've just joined us, this is the Evening News. Stay tuned. Sports, sponsored by MacCorp, is next. Welcome back to the Evening News. Now for a look at sport, sponsored by MacCorp. In the headlines, Sachin Tendulkar to retire after 200 Test, Pujara Gambier Club of West Indies A, and a South American 10K to end in the National Park for the first time. Now for the news in detail. We start off with some cricket news. Skipper Cheteshwar Pujara and the opener Gautam Gambhir slammed hundreds as India A made a strong reply to West Indies A first innings total of 268. At stumps on day 2 of the final Test, India A reached a solid 334 for 3, with Pujara unbeaten and a scintillating 139. Gambhir had earlier been dismissed for an attractive 123 as India A established a lead of 66 by the close. Pujara and Gambhir added 207 for the second wicket before Virender Sehwag made a breezy 38 as India A dominated the day's play. Skipper Kieran Powell used 8 bowlers, but with little success as the Indian A batted themselves into a position of command as they hunt a series-leveling victory. And legendary batsman Sachin Tendulkar will retire from all forms of cricket after playing his 200th Test match next month. The 40-year-old former India captain, who retired from one internationals in December 2012, will end his career with 2 matches against the West Indies. Here are details. Tendulkar is the highest scorer in both Tests and ODIs with 15,837 runs in 198 Test matches and 18,426 runs in 463 ODIs.
Beautifully timed slipped off his pad.
Try and get the length right. Try and get the line right. He didn't get the line right there.
He made his international debut aged 16 in November 1989 and last year became the only batsman in the history of the game to reach 100 international centuries. He played his final T20 match last weekend in the Champions League final between his Mumbai Indians team and a Rajasthan Royals side led by another former Indian skipper, his long-standing teammate Rahul Dravid. Tendulkar's final appearances will also take place in India. He said, and I quote, "It's been a huge honour to have represented my country and played all over the world. I look forward to playing my 200th test match on home soil, as I call it today." End quote.
Goodness me, that is a terrific shot. Couldn't get down in time to stop that boundary. Just slightly over, got to be said. That is a wonderful reply from Ten.
Just about carry. Edged again. That brings up the half century for Sachin Tendulkar.
He also holds a record for the most number of test appearances, with Australians Ricky Ponting and Steve Waugh joined second on 168, followed by Rahul Dravid on 164 and South African Jacques Kallis, who is still playing, on 162. Tendulkar was tipped for greatness from an early age, and while still at school in 1988, he made an unbeaten 326 in a stand of 664 with Vinod Kambli in the semi-finals of the Harris Shield. His first test century came in his 14th innings and was against England at Old Trafford in 1990. There were 6 double centuries, the first of which came against New Zealand in 1999, and the most recent, a 214 against Australia in Bangalore in October 2010, with his highest score an unbeaten 248 against Bangladesh in 2004. Tendulkar racked up 16 test hundreds before he turned 25 and in 2000 became the first man to score 50 international tons, while in 2010 he became the first double centurion in a one-day international. It was hoped that his 100th international 100 would be in the 2000 test match, which was against England at the home of Cricket Lords in 2011, but he was dismissed for 34 and 12 and the feat was achieved in an ODI the following year. One of his most memorable test centuries was an unbeaten 103 that inspired India to victory against England in December 2008 and came shortly after the terror attacks hit his home city of Mumbai. Tendulkar was popular across the world and in 1992 became the first overseas player to sign for Yorkshire, scoring more than 1,000 runs in the summer. Yuvraj Singh bludgeoned 77 from 35 balls to power India to a high-scoring win over Australia in their one-off T20 match in Rajkot. Aaron Finch struck 89 from 52 balls in Australia's 201 for 7, with Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Vinay Kumar getting 3 wickets each. India seemed out of the contest at 100 for 4 in the 12th over when Virat Kohli was dismissed, but Yuvraj and MS Dhoni added an unbroken century stand to seal the win with 2 balls to spare. Yuvraj's knock included 5 sixes and 8 boundaries and earned him the Man of the Match award. And still in cricket, the West Indies Cricket Board selection panel has announced that Nicholas Pooran has been drafted into the West Indies Under-19 team for the ongoing 7-match limited over series against Bangladesh Under-19 in Guyana. The 17-year-old left-handed batsman and wicketkeeper was a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force team, which recently reached the semi-finals of the Champions League T20 tournament in India. Meanwhile, the batsman Brandon King has been ruled out of the series with a hand injury sustained during training. He will return to Jamaica to continue his rehabilitation. The series, which continues tomorrow with a day-night game at the National Stadium, is level 1-1 after the West Indies' 6-wicket win on Monday was followed by a 63-run loss on Wednesday at Borda. Athletics news. In an innovative move, the Athletics Association of Guyana, the AAG, has decided to culminate the 11th South American 10K in the National Park for the first time. The AAG President Aubrey Hudson made a disclosure moments after conducting an inspection of the facility on Wednesday afternoon. Details in this report. Billed for October 27, starting at 15 hours 30, the South American 10K is set to attract leading male and female distance runners from several countries battling for supremacy. Unlike previous years, when a race would end in the Police Sports Club Ground Ivlery, it would now culminate in the National Park.
We plan to really and truly make this a truly international race, putting in the necessary advertising mileage and trying to encourage everyone to come out to be a part of this international event.
According to the AAG head, preparations for the race are on track as the local organizing committee, the LOC, is working assiduously to ensure the Guyana leg of the event is a success. The LOC on Wednesday made an inspection of the national park, during which time Hudson used the opportunity to update media operatives on the route of the race.
We plan to erect a nice big arch with the finish line. We're going to be starting right by GT&T, formerly called the Earth Station, on Carifest Avenue, proceeding all the way up to UG, University Guyana Road, make the U-turn, come down through Kitty Public Road, into JB Lachman Singh, into Thomas Lands, come into the park and end right near the Children's Monument where we're standing now.
Quizzed on the reason for shifting the finish line to the national park, Hudson pointed out that the aim is to encourage spectators' involvement in a high-quality international event.
Sunday is normally a good day for everyone to come into the park to have fun with their family. We want to take that as a plus, as against it being a hindrance to the race, that more people who sometimes are not familiar with athletics, to witness the ending of an international event such as this. So the only challenge that I see is, people encroaching on the finishing line, of which we've already written the Guyana Police Force soliciting them some barriers to put up to keep the spectators off and to ensure that the race is run injury-free to the athletes.
The South American 10K is usually a three-stage event, with the other legs being staged in neighboring Suriname and Panama. And finally in sports, some rifle shooting news. The country's leading rifle shooters resumed training last weekend ahead of the National Senior and Junior Championships slated for next month at the Timeri Rifle Ranges. In action last Sunday, Runsford Goodluck recorded an overall aggregate of 148 points and 17 VBLs to win the X-Class category of the recorded shoot held over the 300, 500 and 1,000 yards ranges under hot and windy conditions. He pipped current national and Caribbean individual champion Lennox Braffett, who also recorded 148 points, but with 12 VBLs. There will be another recorded shoot on Sunday at the Timeri Rifle Ranges as the local shooters intensify preparation for next year's West Indies Full Bore Shooting Championships to be held in Jamaica. And with that, we've come to the end of sport. Of course, you can find these stories and more in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc. 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Johnstown and Environs, and 89.7 in Berbice and New Nickerie, Suriname. Stay tuned, your bridge reports next. This is the Evening News. Welcome back now for a look at your bridge reports. The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed on Friday, October 11 at 9 hours 30 for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge will be closed on Friday, October 11 at 8 hours 35 for a period of 1.5 hours. And with that, we've come to the end of the Evening News for Thursday, October 10, 2013. I'm Avinash Ramzan on behalf of the news and technical teams. Thanks for watching.